You know what I like with my AAA titles these days? A good helping, good portion, a ginormous, big, big helping of microtransactions. Because if your game doesn't have at least not 5, not 10, not even 20, if you got more than that, then your AAA title is on its way to success. So let's get into it, shall we? We're looking at Ghost Recon Breakpoint by Ubisoft. Of course, if you know anything about Ubisoft and Activision as of these days, and EA and stuff, microtransactions are the way of the future, of course. Everything's got to have a microtransaction. If it don't have a microtransaction, it is not doing its job. And it is a AAA title, of course. We're talking $60+ for this game. Around here, it's 65 and some change when you add in tax and everything. When you buy a game for full price, however, you expect to have the full game, not bits and pieces of it, not littered with microtransactions, cosmetic, even cosmetic. I mean, seriously, if I cannot if I can't access it through game, why am I paying $60 for it? I'd rather pay 30 or 20 for the game if I'm going to be forced or wind up having to purchase things through microtransactions. So I think that's a good compromise. Listen, Activision, Ubisoft, the other place that I can't bother to remember their name. Listen, you want to put a bunch of microtransactions in your AAA products, do the rest of us a favor and cut your game price in half. Yeah, like seriously, you want to sit there and litter it with microtransaction? Cut your game price in half. There's no business in having that plus the microtransactions littered everywhere. But anyway, we've got Ghost Recon Breakpoint. It has a hilarious amount of microtransactions. And it really does have a ton of microtransactions. But Ubisoft is not releasing Assassin's Creed this fall. So its big holiday release is going to be Ghost Recon Breakpoint. And anyway, an evolution of the Wildlands idea into something more Ghost Recon A, for a lack of a better term. Sure, whatever. Anyway, I have some fairly mixed feelings about the gameplay so far. So far, it's not really been any different. According to different reviews and stuff, it's not really any different than the last thing that we've had. But it does have a bunch of microtransactions, which is always fun. Let's look at these. These are the microtransactions. That's not much. That's only $7 or whatever SGD is. I have no idea where the screenshots came from, but there's more. We've got microtransactions here, microtransactions there. We've got a whole list of microtransactions. I mean, a lot of this stuff is just skins and things. So it is cosmetic. It's an optional thing. Although there were a few things that were not, which apparently I don't have a pick of. Would you believe it? Of course I wouldn't. Let's open up a few more of these, shall we? See if we can find what we're looking for. You've got tactical gear bundles, all sorts of things. Anyway, they had some catch up or skip type things, like skill points and extra experience, things like that, and people weren't too happy about that because it really does feel like it's a pay to win at that point. Like, you can pay to skip all this chunk of time instead of grinding. So people were quite upset about that. But there is an update, so this video is not going to be too long. When it comes to microtransactions, my stances are pretty clear. If it's not pay to win-esque things, like, for instance, if the things in the store are just cosmetic, I don't really care. It sucks. It really does. The fact that you're not going to be able to have access to a particular skin or whatever because it's only through the store, through real money or whatever. You got to grind up whatever in-game cash it is to get to it. Um, you know, but then when you start putting things like, for instance, say, you know, we'll take a P90. For instance, if the P90 is unlocked at like level 45, or not unlocked at all, how's that? P90 is not in the game, but they put it on the shop for you to purchase for $2.99 or whatever, and it's overpowered, broken, and stuff like that, and only people in the shop can get it. That's an unfair advantage, especially when nobody else can have it. Um, when it comes to the mechanics of like catching up or getting things early, I also don't really care for that one either as much. Like, for instance, if the P90 is unlocked at 45, but you can buy it from the shop at level 1 for $2.99. I really dislike that one too. I mean, it's not as bad because eventually everybody can have access to the same weapon, but at the same time, it feels kind of cheap when you've got, say, a level 1 with access to a level 45 weapon running around fighting other level 1 through 10s or whatever in a map, and they have nothing to combat it because they don't have access to later technology that you get at later levels. So that gives an unfair advantage as well. So that's where my stance is when it comes to these sort of things. But Ghost Recon Breakpoint Microtransactions explained, that's not what I wanted. I'm sorry. Ubisoft removes Ghost Recon Breakpoint booster and skill microtransactions. The time saver bundles weren't meant to be available yet. Of course not. Just like what was it, Call of Duty, where I think they said no microtransactions and then waited a few weeks and then boom, there they all are. That's the thing that a lot of these companies are now doing. They're getting this stuff ready to go, and then they're not putting it into the game because they know it's going to cause an issue. Like, for instance, these particular, point things here, which of course I can't seem to actually zoom into for whatever reason. I can actually see it a little bit better. That is horrible looking. Anyway, but yeah, they're waiting to put these things out because they know there's going to be an issue. They know people are going to get upset about it. Especially if they promise no microtransactions or a certain type of microtransaction, and then they wait for the reviews to come out, and everybody's like, "Oh yeah, this game was great." Everybody's going to go buy it. Everybody go buys it, and then a week later, boom, you're hit with all these things you were told you weren't getting or not going to have and not have to worry about. And that's exactly what Ubisoft was doing. Somebody messed up when they launched the game and forgot to hide, the skill points and the upgrades and stuff like that, because they were planning to release those a few weeks down the line to probably a month. I'm fine with catch-up mechanics in a way, especially if, say, the game's been out for a good long while. But paid catch-up mechanics, on the other hand, not so much. I mean, if you artificially inflate everybody's experience gain so they can hit, level 50 or whatever the max is, then that's fine. Go ahead and do that for everybody. But don't sit there and force them to pay it. What's a good example of that? Final Fantasy 14. We'll go with that. In Final Fantasy 14, you have the option to pick up just about any job or class if you're a WoW player that you want. So if you were, let's translate this into World of Warcraft real quick. If you were a hunter, right? Survival hunter, and you wanted to pick up Ret Paladin with Final Fantasy 14, that's what you can do. It will start back at level 1. You've got to grind it back up. However, there are catch-up mechanics in place that all players have access to. For instance, if, say, your hunter is level 70 or 80 or whatever, every level that you gain from 1 up to that point is getting a boosted amount of experience to sort of close that gap a lot quicker. As well as there's other things like Palace of the Dead and Heroes on High and stuff like that, or Heaven on High. I'm sorry, Heroes on High. That you can also do to help speed up that process. Daily dungeons that you can run that will give increased experience, things like that, to allow you to catch up that, level 1 to your max level. That's a nice mechanic. I like it, and it's available for all characters. Something like that, I don't mind. Paying, however, for 60 plus skill points, ooh, not so much. But anyway, that's probably about all I got to say on all this. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. I will talk to you later. See ya.
Hey, thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave a comment, smash that like button, and always subscribe for more. And of course, there are other videos floating around somewhere on the screen, so click one of those and see if you can find something that suits your fancy. Till then, I'll see you later. Bye.